morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. This show is being recorded for Sunday, March 3rd, 2024. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes directly real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history, so for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you have a moment, just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. All those things really help the channel. Want to send out a big thanks to the 11,000 individuals that hit the like button last week on the channel. It's always very helpful. And also a big thank you for all those that use the super thanks and the donate tab on the website and the super thanks here on the YouTube channel. It's all greatly appreciated. If you watch the channel all the time, you know that we actually give away a free half-hour session with myself. Every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers, we just crossed over to 46,000 subscribers. So on the last show, we randomly picked the winner using a computer app from all the questions in the show that start off with the word love. That's how we know you want to be in the contest. So the winner, after going through, the app went through 1,726 unique comments. The winner is Linda D. Gonzalez or Linda De Gonzalez. Linda, just reach out to our office team, info@sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Let them know you're the winner and let them know your time zone, preferred email address, also preferred callback phone number. They'll get you all set up. Again, that email address is just info@sterlingpsychicmedium.com for the office team. So congratulations, Linda. If you want to enter the contest in the future, just by entering comments in these shows, starting off with the word love, we know you want to be entered. And then as we cross over to the next 1,000 level, we're heading now towards 47,000 subscribers. We'll then be picking another winner. So congratulations again, Linda. We always get asked how to enter questions for these shows. I think there are over 400 questions again this week, something like that, maybe 450. My wife goes through them. She sorts them out in a way that she thinks that the questions will be most beneficial for the show. I then answer them for you here real time. But the best way to find that community board is just go to our YouTube channel, look for the community tab, and then every Monday morning, we place a request for that following Sunday's show questions. And then that post, if you will, is shut down Thursday evening Pacific time zone. So any questions that are entered after Thursday evening Pacific time zone are never included for the following Sunday's show. If you want an easy way to find the community tab, just go to our website, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look at the YouTube tab, and we placed a large gold button there that says Community Board. That will take you right to the community board. So hopefully that's helpful. Any questions that are received via email to the office team are never answered. So we don't recommend you send any questions relative to these shows to that office email address. So hopefully that helps. These questions come up all the time, and my office team is always asking me to kind of address them here up front. So with no further ado, let's kind of get going on today's countdown. I think we had 59 questions for today's show. So we'll start off with question 59. We know the Supreme Court decided to hear the immunity case. Are the justices compromised by taking money from outside sources? No one thinks this will come to trial before the election. Will 45 get off again? Okay, so a lot of questions in there. First off, on last week's show at the very end, my team was indicating that they saw the Supreme Court taking up the immunity case. So if you listen to last Sunday's show, you'll actually find that at the very tail end of the show. So no surprise that the Supreme Court took up the immunity case. I think my angels and guides saw that coming. I know there's like an April 22nd date that they're looking at right now to try to render a decision. I do see the decision coming down as not giving immunity to 45, so that's clear. Looks like the Supreme Court will leverage the lower court's decision, just as my team was indicating even last week and weeks before this. Also, I don't see 45 getting off. I do see several of the trials starting. So there's there's a number of, there's two federal cases, right? The documents case, the January 6th insurrection case. Looks like both of those cases will start and be initiated prior to the November election. So we're going to see some progress there. I don't think there are only a very small number of cases are going to be cleared by the November election. What I mean by that is they'll be completed, but they'll be in process. So, that the one case out of New York that Bragg is working on, that case looks like it'll come to completion. The documents case, the insurrection cases, certainly don't think they're going to come to completion, but they'll be in process. So not to worry, all this is going to move forward. I mean, it's probably a lot of information. We'll ask this question. I think we've seen a number of questions regarding the concern over the Supreme Court. They are compromised, but looks like I see them also trying to accelerate the decision even almost faster than April 22nd. So lot going on here to take a look at, but I don't want everybody to be concerned because it looks like it's all going to move forward and you're going to see justice and no one's going to be given immunity. And, further, my team's just reminding me that if they were to give immunity to 45, it affects well over 100 other cases regarding the insurrection. So justice will stand, but certainly Supreme Court is helping to drag their feet and draw it out. Question 58 in the countdown. CNN investigation just revealed that Kenneth Chesbrough lied to prosecutors about a secret Twitter account, Badger Pundit. Oh, I guess that was his name, right? Badger Pundit, where he promoted a more aggressive election subversion scheme than he admitted to previously in sworn testimony. He literally told prosecutors he didn't have a social media account and asserted, "I don't do any social media tweeting." Will he be held accountable for perjuring himself? Will any of his deals with prosecutors fall apart because of him lying under oath? Yes, I see him completely falling under half a dozen new charges, they're telling me, and a lot of the deals are going to be retracted based on lying under oath. So a bit of a big downfall for him having the secret Twitter account. 57, hi, Sterling and team. I'm really getting concerned about China's police presence in cities around the world. What is the impact of this, and is it affecting democracy development? What I get on that is that there are maybe almost 100 what I'll call secret Chinese police offices that aren't all known about by our federal government here in the U.S. They're there because they're trying to attack Chinese citizens that are over here in the U.S. That they think that are helping the U.S. government. So our federal government is researching this. Yeah, it's a concern, and they're over here covertly. These Chinese under police offices we're talking about here, and they are here to kind of, in some ways, subvert U.S. democracy. They're trying to prevent any entity, Chinese or otherwise, helping the U.S. government. So that's true, but it looks like our federal government is on top of it in that they're researching this, they're aware of it, and so more to come on this. It's going to take another few years here to vet this all out for our federal government, but that's why these covert Chinese police offices are here, the offices, because they're trying to move Chinese citizens, in other words, back to China and stop what they perceive as kind of help for the U.S. government. 56, Sterling, I read a book titled Answering the Call of the Elementals. It was eye-opening to me. Elementals permeate every aspect of our being. The author claims the elementals have an urgent call for help. What can your guide tell us regarding this claim? Well, elementals they exist all around the world in every region around the world. They don't say permeate our being. No urgent call for help, but they're actually all here to help. So this is a form of spiritual entity, elementals, and they're very regionally based around the world, and they're here to help. So not no urgent call for help. Lots going on in the world right now, so they're certainly involved in all of that. 55, hi Sterling and crew. What do your guides have to say about the possibility of a world in the center of our Earth? And was Admiral Byrd trying to get out to the people? Oh, and what was Admiral Byrd trying to get out to people? Well, there's a number of underground bases for various governments and extraterrestrials under the surface of the Earth. That's very true. They don't go to the center of the Earth. Admiral Byrd, and I talked about this in other shows, He actually was aware of it, actually visited some of those underground extraterrestrial bases. You want to get that out to the world, but in a lot of ways was prevented. There was some documentation or some book that he provided. A lot of people try to discount his telling of the stories of that area, but it's all true. So there are a number of underground bases for extraterrestrials, as well as in the very deepest parts of the ocean. So not the world's governments are working with these extraterrestrial entities. They know the bases are there. So Admiral Byrd was, kind of an early discoverer, if you will, of this information, try to get it out to the world. 54, Sterling and team. Do extraterrestrials visiting us have the ability to heal any medical problems we have? They do, interestingly enough, but they're somewhat prevented from doing it at a wide scale because it's will somehow influence humanity or the learning lessons of humanity. So there's an evolution going on here on Earth. They're actually providing the technology to get to the discovery of cures like CRISPR, genome editing. That's all true, but they're prevented from at a wide scale for a lot of reasons. From trying to implement elements or let's say discoveries or methods they have to cure all diseases. They've actually gotten past a lot of earthly diseases. They know how to treat them, and humanity's on that path as well. But there's a bit of a life lesson for humanity the way this is getting rolled out. It's all part of a larger universal plan. So they do have the knowledge to cure a lot of health diseases, but are being prevented from actually giving it out and kind of changing the path, if you will. They can't change the path of humanity. 53, hi Sterling and team. When 45 is gone from politics in our daily lives, will the Republicans replace him with someone similar or worse? Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's going to be a new leader, very similar to 45. He'll have a lot of the same attributes, come from a different area of the world, so to speak. But it's going to be a difficult situation. We'll have another leader that's going to be have a lot of the same characteristics as 45. The good news is that government's going to be bolstered in a way, all of the world's governments will be bolstered in a way that will prevent some of the backroom deals going on. So, one of the things that 45 has done for society is point to a lot of problems and a lot of, let's say, deficiencies in Constitution where amendments are required. So there's going to be a lot of bolstering of Constitution, laws, legislature, government. So it's going to be let's put it this way, be hardened in a way that the new leader coming won't have the same kind of an effect that 45 did. 52, UFOs have been reported over the Ukraine during February 2024. What do you think is the purpose of their surveillance? Well, UFOs and UAPs have been over that region for many decades, so they're always there monitoring. Really want to make sure there's no annihilation of humanity, and if nuclear weapons or they could try to use them, they dismantle them, disable them. We've seen this throughout history, but it's not so much just recent. This person's calling out February of this year. They've really been looking at that area for decades, many decades. People may are just noticing it more now. 51, hi Sterling and team. I adopted my American bully, Moana, okay, during the pandemic. I felt such a pull towards her, and our connection was immediate. We have such a tight bond that I can't help but think she's been in my life multiple times. Has my dog, Moana, been my companion before in this life or others? Yeah, you know what? I get that this particular dog has been with you through 12 different lifetimes, so a lot of lifetimes. I see a lot of people reincarnating with animals or different people. Sometimes with similar people, maybe they'll reincarnate half a dozen times, something like that. With this particular dog, you've been in 12 different lifetimes, so congratulations. That's why you feel so comfortable with her. 50, hello, Sterling Linden team. Will there ever be a cure for horse equine shivers, a progressive neurological disorder? I get yes, but it's at least 10 years out, and the discovery has something to do with new medication that affect what's called the cerebellum. Not a doctor, I always have to say that, but There's something here that this new discovery, so maybe the cerebellum affects physical actions or something, muscle control. So there is something here. It's about a decade out. It's coming. It looks like that discovery will come out of CRISPR technology developed for humans. So there's something about the discovery for people and humans that then takes shape and helps horses. 49. Thank you, Sterling and human team and angelic team. Can animals like wild dolphins sense when joy and love is emanating from a dock or a residence? Yeah, absolutely. All animals are highly sophisticated. They come from the angelic realm. They come down with unconditional love. But there are several species like dolphins that are very highly evolved and very intelligent, very intellectual. And that's why you see even over a lot of years, many of the world's governments even train dolphins for certain types of missions. But yeah, they absolutely, dolphins in this case can perceive human sense human emotion, what they're thinking. There's a telepathic communication element to it, very sophisticated. 48. Hello, Sterling. It seems there are so many people single. Many are getting out of toxic relationships or not in one. How can a person find a soulmate or a mate? Well, it really gets down to the law of attraction, right? So you actually, the energy you put out and your thoughts create your reality. But more importantly, that propagates out to people that are around you. So actually, you have to look at kind of the law of attraction in this case. But I find many people intellectually are looking for, let's say, a certain type of a mate. But then emotionally, they're putting out confusing signals because maybe there was a problem in childhood with them understanding self-love, or there was a prior relationship, but now they're very hard on themselves. And I think a lot of individuals don't understand that emotional energy comes through in a relationship, even though, let's say, intellectually, they're trying to hide it. So remember, it's about the law of attraction, the energy you put out, you create that reality. So watch your thoughts and most importantly, manifest clearly, manifest exactly what you're looking for. Those are the best kind of tools to put into place to get the mate you want. Also remember, we have many soulmates as we go through life, not just one. So soulmates come in all forms. Some are best friends, some are girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives. Sometimes we're even bosses, believe it or not, the way bosses mentor or something of that nature. So you find soulmates throughout life. They always teach you an important lesson of the heart. 47. After COVID, many people, including myself, suffer from inflammation and autoimmune disorders. Do your guides have any advice to combat this inflation? Will CRISPR be able to help in the future? So I'm not a doctor. I always have to say that. In the short term, you actually have the option now to consult what's called a long haul COVID symptom doctor. There's actually doctors now that are specializing in long haul COVID symptoms. So I encourage whoever asked this question to reach out. Longer term, yes, COVID and genome editing technology is really going to help bolster the immune system and get over some of the longer term, long haul effects from COVID. That's all very true. Blood clotting is another thing that's coming up around after effects of COVID. But all these things are being worked on right now as I speak. 46. As a retirement pursuit, I have taken classes in Reiki 1 and 2 so far. My question for your guides is, are the symbols really necessary? Were they given by the higher realm or created by man? I get they're just teaching symbols. So actually, I get that there's a human element here in creating those symbols, but they're teaching symbols. And my team is saying that those symbols aren't necessarily important to the actual healing process. It has everything to do with the intention and like the skill level of the Reiki healer, the way you're bringing through Reiki energy. So my team's saying more of a teaching element, a nice reference. It does not have anything to do directly with the healing process. That's my team being clear about. But they're good teaching element, and humanity had a lot to do with the creation of those symbols. So I would say, work on actually each of the symbols, and I don't know a lot about this, they're telling me has to do with certain types of modalities of Reiki healing or what this is, and make sure you concentrate on those areas. So you don't have to spend a lot of time with the symbols per se. 45. Can our soul split and live multiple lives at the same time on Earth? No, not at all. And I know this question comes up a lot. When your soul comes down to earth, you actually are living that lifetime. Your soul does not split. You don't leave part of it in heaven. You actually live your destined blueprinted life. Each lifetime, your soul is connected with you, doesn't split. Another question comes up once in a while, like if somebody reincarnates, how can you communicate with them? This is a side question, but sometimes it relates to the soul split, or is there something left in heaven? And it's actually we psychics and mediums, we can use what are called relay points. It's almost like connecting cell towers. So if someone passed over and then they eventually reincarnated and you're trying to reach them, you actually can still communicate with their soul directly through what are called relay points in heaven. We can discuss more of that on some later shows, but that's kind of a sub question that this person was asking. But we don't live multiple lives at the same time, so hopefully that dispels any confusion. 44. Another Tennessee House GOP passes bill to block expelled lawmakers from returning to their seats. This is just so Justin Pearson and Justin Jones lose their seats. I remember that case, and possibly Gloria Johnson as well. Will this bill stand? Looks to me like this bill they're talking about will be overturned in a number of weeks, so it's not going to stand long term and be overturned. 43, can you explain more about hybrids? Do they know they're hybrids, and can we recognize them? So hybrids are a combination of extraterrestrial and Homo sapiens sapien DNA. Yes, all hybrids know they're hybrids. No, you're not going to be able to determine who they are unless you're a hybrid yourself or have a kind of psychic mediumship ability in that area. The whole purpose of them being hybrids, they're actually down here to help. And the best way for them to help is to kind of stay covert, kind of so people don't know that they have that ability. But you're not going to know, but they know they're hybrids, and that's kind of how they get down here. So they play an important role, and there are thousands of hybrids on the planet right now. But they're down here to help, and you will not know who they are unless you have that gift, psychic mediumship gift, or you're another hybrid. You're able to recognize them. 42, are electromagnetic waves and radio frequency waves damaging the Earth and affecting our health and the environment? Well, electromagnetic waves are part of the universe. So if you look at, for example, gamma waves coming from collapsing stars or other star systems, lots of different types of electromagnetic waves, including the visible light spectrum, all the way up to gamma rays. So no, it's not hurting the Earth. It's all part of the natural way the universe is designed, really not hurting. So there's a very large spectrum of electromagnetic energy that's hitting the Earth. But no, it's not hurting the Earth in any direct way. Certainly if you look at sometimes solar flares coming from the sun, CME events is what we refer to them as. Yes, I mean, in some respects, they can start to knock out networks for a couple of days or a number of hours. But by and large, this is a natural part of the universe. Electromagnetic radiation comes across, the world, the planet, all the time for millions of years. 41, is past life regression therapy real or just our imagination? If it's done by experts, so the person delivering and guiding this procedure, this regression therapy, if that person has the appropriate level of skill and the patient is appropriately grounded, if you will, so they're prepared for it, you can get some good results from past life regression. By and large, I see the majority, unfortunately, of a lot of these experiences, people tend to spin off into imagination. So a lot of the information they bring back tends to be highly imaginary. So it really, this is a very specific science, if you will. And if it's guided by somebody that's highly skilled in this area and the patient is sufficiently grounded, you can get some good results. And sometimes they can help clear up problems you're having. But by and large, the majority really do spin off into imagination. 40, hi, Sterling and team. Do those on the other side of the veil and in other dimensions have to learn how to communicate with us, like we have to develop our clair senses in order to communicate with them? or do they instantly get the knowledge as soon as they drop their bodies? There's actually an evolution to the skill when you get to the other side. So those that go to the other side and really develop the skill, they actually can, for example, show themselves as full-scale apparitions. Now, when you first go to the other side, if you haven't developed the skill, you're going to be using things like, a rush of air in someone's ear to communicate with them from the other side, or a touch, or a cold chill. That is very common. But the more they get skilled on the other side, even sometimes the longer they're over there, you can develop the skill to make it easier to communicate with loved ones down here. So yeah, there's actually a bit of an evolution to the process and the skill of being able to communicate with people down here. But by and large, everybody starts off on the other side being able to have some sort of interaction with loved ones if they choose. So again, cold chill, maybe they leave some feathers around, some change around. So yeah, there's an evolution on the other side though with that skill. 39. Hello, Sterling and team. A question from Empaths on highly sensitive people. Would you and your guides please share specific practices and actions that will allow people like my wife to have restful, uninterrupted sleep? For the past 3 weeks, many empaths have been unable to fall asleep or are waking up only after a few hours. Is there a way to shut down these channels? Avoiding internet and news events, meditating, journaling, etc., has had no effect. Well, the best way to do it to get grounded. My team's saying first off, you have to develop a way to distract your logical mind. Now, many people will use, say, aromatherapy, or they may listen to like a calm app on their mobile phone, mobile device, where you can listen to what they call pink noise, brown noise, green noise, or listen to a waterfall. But ways of breaking you're shifting out of your logical mind. Another thing is some people do find it helpful before you go to sleep. Maybe you turn on a wave machine or something that makes a rain sound, or sometimes you leave the TV on. But ways to kind of distract your logical mind, that's somehow the best way to do it. Now, if you're an empath, you do also have to find ways to kind of bleed off that energy you take in, right? So if you walk around through life, you're going to take in a lot of energy. So if you feel great leaving the house in the morning and you go into the office and you're around 20 people that are highly negative, you come home, you kind of want to kick the wall. You've taken in all that energy. So forms of aromatherapy, saging yourself can be very helpful with that. And then ways of distracting your mind are very helpful ways to kind of start out on that journey to kind of clean up, restabilize, center, and ground yourself if you're an empath. Absolutely. Okay, 38 in the countdown. Hi, Sterling. The California Republicans are trying to recall Governor Newsom again. Will they be stopped a second time? Yes, they'll be stopped. This is kind of an exercise in futility. They'll get stopped and turned around. He will not be recalled. 37, Sterling, if nothing is by chance and spouses are chosen before coming down here, is infidelity a chosen life lesson or simply free will on the other side? Now, everything we experience down here is part of our life path blueprint. So there are no accidents. So every action that we take, especially one that would affect a loved one like that, is part of a life path set of lessons that were created before he came down here. So it is all part of a life path lesson. And when you think about the way families interact, so in this case, a couple, life lessons or experiences that say you have uniquely, they move out and they affect other people's lives. So there's other life lessons in the lives of the people you're connected to. So it's never just solely an experience of yourself uniquely. It's who you affect, let's say your mate, their family, your in-laws, all of our life paths are interconnected and there are no accidents. So absolutely something like infidelity is part of a life path. 36, Hamas just declined another ceasefire deal. What is their reason behind this? And is the Republic of Iran involved? What I pick up on this is that Hamas wanted a much longer ceasefire, like longer than 6 weeks or something. So that's why they wouldn't agree to it. And yes, there's many countries involved behind the scenes trying to pull the puppet strings. Iran is one of them. But I get you're going to see progress here very, very soon around a ceasefire. 35, Sterling, I saw an article discussing the possibility of doing away with original Medicare. Do you see this happening? No, I don't see Medicare being dismantled or removed. I do see it being reformed. So, not an expert in this area, but for example, my team's talking about, like, they have Part A, Part B, Part C. Might be something that's more combined and run more efficiently. There's something here coming up where they're actually going to reconstitute Medicare within a few years here. But it looks like they may be doing away with this Part A, Part B, Part C, and consolidating it in a way that works better, and actually gives they're talking about a larger scope of medical care and better outreach to everybody at different ages. It looks like some great efficiencies are going to come into Medicare, but no, I don't see it being taken away, just being reformed. Okay, 34 in the countdown. Hi, Sterling and team. Will Ukraine be successful in regaining many regions like Crimea, Mariupol, and other territories? I do see a large number of maybe 5 or 6 territories here coming back to Ukraine. Once the war is over, we've got kind of the remainder of this year to get through a lot of what's going on now in the war. But looks like a lot of these territories are going to come back. Territories, cities are going to come back under Ukraine's control. But I'm also getting it's going to take a while for Russia to fully exit. So the war may really start to end this year, but it's going to take a while for, let's say, the pullback for all these for Russians to get out of all these areas and cities. So eventually it's going to happen. It looks like the full control, let's say, of a lot of these areas for Ukraine, it's going to take 1 to 2 years here for that to kind of come back fully to Ukraine, even though the war is going to kind of be completed much faster than that. 33, love your show, Sterling. Some ancient narratives talk about a time on Earth before the moon, and some say the moon was brought here and placed the way it is to perfectly eclipse the sun, and with only one side facing us all the time, to be used as a base for observing us. Some also say the moon is hollow inside. Is any of this true? I've read on this before. I've always seen that millions of years ago, the moon was moved into place by several extraterrestrial groups. It's true. Not hollow inside, but there are many bases underneath the surface of the moon. That's true. So it was moved into place artificially, so to speak, by extraterrestrials as a way station for, intermediate space travel and as an observation platform for Earth. That's all very true. 32, hi Sterling and team. You have said in the past that Bigfoot species are shape-shifting extraterrestrials who are mining for resources here on Earth. My question is, if they want to blend in, why don't they take the form of deer or bears or some other animal that already exists here on Earth and won't cause people alarm? What I've always seen on this is they take a form that allows them to shapeshift more easily from their natural form. So they are quite tall, translucent, blue in color, but it allows them to kind of take, let's say, a hairy form in the same physical form that they actually are. So it's an easier conversion or shapeshift from their original body shape. Shape shifting into a bear or deer would almost, I guess, nearly be impossible, even though those shapeshifters. Remember, shapeshifting comes in 2 different ways. There's a molecular way. At the molecular level, the shapeshifting occurs, and then there's an optical way. So they actually can change optically what you're seeing, even though molecularly, a molecular level, they're not doing it. We've talked about that before in other shows, but yeah, they shapeshift into something that is more similar to their body shape, body form, body size. 31. Hi, Sterling. I'm hearing that Republicans are planning to refuse to certify the November election if Biden wins. Will they get away with this? No, I mean they're going to try a repeat of what happened in the 2020 election, but they won't get away with it. There's going to be a lot of chaos around the event, but Biden will be the winner from a popular vote standpoint, from electoral count standpoint. There'll be a lot of shouting and screaming and things going on, but yeah, I think there's going to be some pushback from a number of Republican groups not wanting to certify the election. It will get certified. 30. Hello, Sterling and team. I sometimes have dreams where I'm in a car driving somewhere but having difficulty slowing the car down, changing direction, etc. What does this mean? Well, cars or vehicles always represent how you see yourself moving through life. So if you're driving in a small car, for example, that suggests kind of how you feel moving through life. If you're driving a Mack truck or a big bus, that also reflects how you feel you're moving through life. When you can't slow a car down or you don't have control, that is reflective of you, in fact, not feeling like you have control in life. So there are a lot of very good dream books out there, but my guides and angels right now are just, highlighting the fact that every time you see yourself in a vehicle in a dream, that's analogous to how you see yourself moving through life. So take some stock in that, look at kind of what's going on in your daily life, and you can make some changes, and those dreams will start to change too. 29, hi Sterling and team. I've always thought it would be amazing to be able to travel back in time and experience other time periods. When we die and go to heaven, is it possible for us to be time travel tourists? For instance, go spend a month in an ancient Egypt and experience daily life back then. If so, how would it work? And would we be able to interact with people in the past? So in the heaven dimension, like a lot of other dimensions, they move faster than the speed of light. When you move faster than the speed of light, actually time becomes what they call nonlinear. So you can actually go forward and backward in time. So in heaven dimension, you can, in fact, observe other time periods. You cannot interact. So you cannot launch yourself back into ancient Egypt and interact with people or the population at that time. It's more like observing a movie. So you can observe the movie, you can go see what's happening, but you absolutely cannot cross the veil, cross the threshold to get physically connected with that time period. You can absolutely observe it. Remember, you can observe the future and the present and the past when you're on the other side. 28. When we use pendulums or tarot cards, are we connecting to our higher selves or spirit guides and angels? Well, remember, your higher self, first off, is you. That's your soul. That's your full soul, spiritual DNA. That's who you are. When you're using tools, you are connecting with your angels and guides. And remember, when you use any tool, it really has a lot to do with how well you're connecting uniquely with your angels and guides, your birth angels, your working spiritual guides. So any tools that you incorporate into anything you're doing, whether it's tarot cards, pendulums, dowsing rods, you're leveraging off of also your ability to communicate with your angelic team. So it's always good to kind of work both sides of the equation, develop that real-time communication with your angelic team, and then integrating tools is very complementary for that. So it's kind of a development path of developing multiple skills and making sure that you're using them collaboratively together in a way that's giving you always very reliable information. 27, when extraterrestrials finally show themselves, will power brokers of the far Christian right see ETs as ungodly, then fight them as they do the rest of us living without religion, us living without their religion? Can it change the flock enough to change the power structure? Well, yes, eventually here within a few years, no one will be able to dispute the existence of extraterrestrials and their what the role they played in millions of years of evolution and how the universe is put together. And a lot of religion, and they're talking about far right Christians here, whatnot, Christian right. Everybody's going to be kind of put on the same level playing field in terms of how the universe is put together, what's going on here, the life lessons we're learning, how it all works. And so that's a much larger discussion, but you'll see that no one on the planet will be able to dispute it. Everyone will actually start to realize that they need to kind of change their outlook, their focus, their scope on how they view life. And so it's going to affect everybody. I think the base of this question is after decades, you won't see anybody dragging their feet in that kind of a far right Christian belief. Everybody's belief will be modified and kind of aligned with how the universe is actually put together and the roles everybody's playing. 26, hi Sterling and team. I lost my 16-year-old son to suicide in 2016. Since then, I have met so many family members who have loved ones who are suffering from depression and suicidal thoughts. My question is, will the government in the near future recognize that we are in a mental health crisis and provide the support those who are in pain and their families need? The resources just don't seem to be available. I do see this in the longer term, but not in the short term. Short term means the next couple of years here. Longer term, over as we get past the next few years here, I do see more resources coming from government. Some of them are financially driven to provide more care for those that are in a mental health crisis. Unfortunately, a lot of this is driven by economics, but I do see that a corporate minimum tax of 15% coming in, generating a lot of revenues into government. So you're going to see this. In fact, I'm being reminded around the world over the next few years here, you're going to see much more of a concentration on helping with people that are a mental health crisis, because a lot of people are experiencing it, as this person's calling out in the question, due to a lot of life circumstances and what's going on around the world. I do see that. Yeah, it's more resources coming, but it's going to be delayed by a few years here. 25. Sterling, you've said numerous times that we will soon be introduced to extraterrestrials. Will they look robotic, animal, or human-like? None of the above. You're actually going to see first be introduced to a lot of hybrids, so look very similar to Homo sapiens sapien, and then there'll be a slow evolution as to being introduced to individuals that look more like, and extraterrestrials that look more like their basic selves, right? So it'll be kind of a gradual process of introduction of extraterrestrials into human populations around the world. But it's going to go well. I've been assured many times that the gradual rollout will go very well. 24. Hello, Sterling and team. When meat is lab grown or lab made, will vegetarians consider eating it? I'm a vegetarian. Will people still debate over whether beef is good for the body? Well, when it's lab grown, it's actually going to be done in a way that will be good for people. In fact, there'll even be some alternatives that will be plant-based. So if you're a vegetarian, that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, it looks like even vegetarians will kind of gravitate towards some of the proteins that are available in the lab-grown meats. I guess even some of the, again, not a doctor, maybe some of the amino acids or whatnot that are in meats. So that's what my team's telling me, that yeah, even vegetarians will gravitate towards lab-grown meat. Absolutely. Okay, 23 in the countdown. Sterling, my question is, do you see the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, successfully blocking the merger between Kroger and Albertsons grocery chain? I do see them successfully blocking the merger for a time period. But it looks like eventually, whether it's the end of this year or next year, it looks like the merger is going to go through. So there's a delay here. But eventually there's some sort of an agreement made with the FTC and some guidelines for the merger that allow it to eventually go through. So it'll be delayed, but it looks like it'll eventually go through. 52. Hi, Sterling. I live in British Columbia, Canada, where we've had several years of horrible, devastating wildfires. I've lived here for 30 years, and it's only been in the last 5 years or so that it's been this bad. Is this now a normal thing, or will we ever get back to where wildfire is a once in every 5-year event? Well, the return to normalcy is going to take another decade, another 10 years regarding the fire danger here. This is all resulting from climate change. And so, but it's going to be a good decade before kind of the frequency of these fires start to die down. Yeah. 21. My question is about chip implants in human beings. Many prognosticators and those purporting to channel predict that in the foreseeable future, humans will be required to be implanted with chips for the supposed purpose of controlling thoughts, behavior, etc., for authorities. Is there any truth to these predictions, or are they fear-mongering conspiracy thinking? I'm getting right now again, that this is going to be purely voluntary. So first off, there'll only be a very small portion or percentage of the world's population, maybe only a couple of percent, maybe as many as 4%, that may opt to have these brain implants or chip implants. Also remember that they're going to have a duality of functions. So for many people with certain types of neurological problems, these chip implants in the brain are actually going to help with different types of neuromuscular, neurological problems. So the chip implants will have kind of different types of benefits depending on what type they are. There will be other types of chip implants that will allow individuals to more directly control supercomputers. And I've talked about those on this channel here. So it's going to be voluntary, not about controlling thoughts. Not everybody's going to opt into it. But I do see, as we get out many, many decades, even closer to 100 years here, Many people will opt to want the implants because they're actually going to make life easier. So for those living on the planet right now, so the next number of decades, not really an issue. Be voluntary, and it's never going to be. I don't see it being forced by the government, but there are beneficial effects, and it'll all be based on free will. Whatever you want to do. 20, Sterling and team. It has been said many times that in past lives and future lives are all happening now, and the Akashic records hold all the information. If we are living all of our lives at the same time, do we cross over from all lives at the same time? Are we in sync with all of our lives? No, I don't know where this comes from, but we're not living all of our lives at one time. Yeah, when we look at the Akashic records, you can actually see the discrete lives and the number of reincarnations individuals have, let's say on Earth or other areas of the universe. And yeah, people don't always reincarnate on Earth; they reincarnate in other areas. But we're not all living all of our lives simultaneously. Your soul has a unique experience each lifetime, and the Akashic records record that everything in the universe, past, present, future. But so there's no truth that if we're not living all lives simultaneously, and how will they all cross at the same time? So I'm not sure where all this comes from, but my team's pretty adamant about the fact that your soul's living a unique experience each lifetime that you go through. But the Akashic record certainly records all of those lifetimes, but they don't happen all at the same time, no. 19. Hi, Sterling. I've been wondering about the recent botched moon landing of the spacecraft Odysseus. It seems strange that the craft tipped over on a rock, landing on its side. Also, the attached camera that was supposed to capture images of its descent were inexplicably turned off. Previously, at least two similar crafts sent from other countries had the same thing happen to them. Is there someone trying to thwart these landings? If so, who? No, I don't get any, like, for example, extraterrestrial groups are trying to thwart the landings. I get this is purely a physics problem. So these are like the way the craft were designed, how they landed, uh, the velocity at which they were coming down to the planet, where they landed. So this is really has to do with physics, not somebody trying to thwart the landing. Going in the future here, they're going to figure a lot of these problems out, how to guard against some of these accidents, like landing sideways on a rock or it tipping over. But my team's saying these are all really based on physics problems, not individuals or ETs trying to thwart the landing. 18. Elon Musk bankrolls lawsuit or is bankrolling the lawsuit of fired Mandalorian star Gina Carano against Disney and its CEO Bob Iger. Is Elon Musk trying to get his hands on Disney? And if so, will he succeed? No, I don't. I don't get he's trying to get his hands on Disney, but I do get he has like a vendetta against certain types of political views or something. So Disney just happens to be a bit of a scapegoat for him right now. Not trying to get Disney, but he feels like by funding this lawsuit, it's like getting back at individuals that he doesn't agree with philosophically. As they say, he's kind of got a bee in his bonnet, as an expression. So it's a bit of a bit of a vendetta, but not just trying to get Disney. 17. Hello, Sterling and team. My question is, do you see the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky, ever being a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize? Yes, I do. Very short order. I don't know what the cycle is for the Nobel Peace Prize, but it's almost like the next 1 or 2 years or something here. They're telling me he's actually going to be a recipient of it. 16, dear Sterling and team, there is a legal case in New York involving stolen notepads containing lyrics from Don Henley of Eagles. Henley permitted the writer, Sanders, who intended to write a book about the Eagles' breakup in 1980, access to their archives, which include notepads with lyrics from the 1976 album Hotel California. Sanders never published the memoir and allegedly kept the notepads and sold them for a significant sum instead of returning them. The 3 individuals involved in the sale face charges of fourth-degree conspiracy stemming from attempts to sell the allegedly stolen lyrics. Do you believe the Manhattan DA will secure convictions in the case? Yes, it looks to me like the trio of individuals that are being accused here will be found guilty, and it looks like Don Henley and his estate. I'm not sure how this is all being worked out here. Will actually be victorious. So yeah, they're actually going to win the case here against the trio because it looks to me like my team's telling me they might have tried to extort, for entertainment purposes only, might try to extort like Don Henley as part of this whole legal issue or entanglement they're in. So yeah, it looks like Don Henley and part of the estate will be successful. 15, thank you, Lyndon, Sterling, and team. In December 2020, 10 young sperm whales beached themselves on the coast of East Yorkshire, England. To my knowledge, none of them survived. Why do whales beach themselves in mass like this? Is it accidental or deliberate? And is there any way we as humans can help? So this is a consequence of climate change. What climate change has done is changed ocean currents, changed food sources for whales, changed components in the water, different types of algae, even creating like poisonous types of algae that have created neurological problems for some of these whales. And we've seen this around the world. So this is an after effect here of climate change. It's going to start to get better. I have read on this in the past, and I was told that scientists are creating kind of new forms of algae that will propagate in oceans and actually kind of nullify the effects of some of the poisonous algae. So, but this is an after effect of climate change, but scientists are actually working on this. And I see very little confusion among scientists as to why this happens. It looks like they understand why it happens. Absolutely. Okay, 14 the countdown. Hi, Sterling and team. Is it true that part of our soul spirit stays in heaven while we are down here living on earth? Getting this question a lot for some reason in this show, but I guess is being asked from kind of a different perspective. No, part of our soul does not stay in heaven. It all comes down. Your entire spiritual soul DNA comes down with the life you're living. And if it's talking about again trying to communicate with individuals in heaven that have reincarnated, which by the way, most individuals don't reincarnate any faster than 80 or to 100 Earth years. Some go faster if they're on a very large spiritual soul family exit. I've seen that, like around the Holocaust or 9/11. But if they're trying to communicate with somebody, it works off what are called relay points. So sorry to be redundant, but I just show we've seen a couple of these questions, but no, your soul does not stay, or any part of your soul does not stay in heaven. 13. Hello, Sterling and Linda. In April, I was having terrible pain in my stomach and I thought it was food poisoning. I was in bed in the fetal position for 3 days. On day 3, I asked my mom in heaven, who passed away in 1982, if this was serious and if I should see a doctor. Please give me a sign. About an hour later, a plant fell off the plant stand in the living room. I figured this was the sign and drove an hour to my doctor. Turns out my appendix had burst. Was this really my mother sending me a signal to go to my doctor? Yes, absolutely. This was your mother in conjunction with your birth angels getting you a message. So I always say sometimes loved ones on the other side are never our guides. Our family members, they're still family members, but they can kind of tug on the robe, so to speak, of your angels and guides and say, need some help over here. So your birth angels are around you for all of us. We have birth angels to keep us on the planet so we don't exit the wrong time. So absolutely, this is your mother and your birth angels stepping in to help you. 12. Hi, Sterling and team. Rumor is that some extraterrestrials and ET technology and our government knowledge depicted in the movie Men in Black is true. Is this a fact? It is. So a lot of for all 4 Men in Black movies, and I think the last one was Men in Black International, and the first Men in Black 1, Men in Black 2. There were 4 Men in Black movies. All that information, a lot of it was channeled, and a lot of it does have parallels to what really happens around extraterrestrial technology. There's some creative license taken in those movies. So not all of it, of course, is true. A lot of it is done to kind of impact and create movie ticket sales. But a lot of information there has a ring of truth because much of it was channeled. 11. Hello, Sterling. Please tell me why I've heard trumpet horn sounds very loudly 3 times in the last 4 months. This is all due to hypersonic aircraft and weapons testing. So we have a lot of groups around the world and even in our country that are testing hypersonic aircraft. Hypersonic aircraft fly at a minimum 5 times the speed of sound, which is over 3,000 miles per hour. There are some hypersonic missile technology that the US has and other world governments have that fly even closer to 10 times the speed of sound. So the trumpet sounds you're hearing are hypersonic aircraft testing. That's what my team's telling me. 10. Hello, Sterling and team. I have this thing. I have this thing since I remember. When my right hand itches, I know I'm going to spend or lose money. And then my left hand itches, I know I'll be getting some money. In addition, when I feel like snake bites on both of my big toes, I know I'll be hearing someone died. I don't know if I have some gift. My sister also has the same thing happening. Can you please explain why this is happening to us? Well, this is in a unique way. This is the way your angels and guides are working with you, trying to get some messages across to you. So you do have a skill in that area. I'd work to develop it. When you see repeatability, so you have something occur to you like you're describing here, and itching or something on your hand or something on your toes, your feet, and you can actually reliably align that with real events. That is absolutely a skill you have, and you should learn how to develop it so you have some good repeatability. 9. Love the show, Sterling and team. I often feel sorry for my pets when I go on vacation. I have a pet sitter that comes in twice a day. Do my pets grieve and or suffer when I go on vacation? Am I doing them harm by leaving them for a week or more at a time? No real harm, but remember, animals are very sensitive to all human emotions. They're highly evolved, unconditional love. They do feel loss. They do feel tenderness. They do feel love. They miss you, but no harm. But they have a lot of very highly evolved emotions. 8. Sterling, have any of 45 supporters like Jordan, MTG, or Scott Perry received target letters from the DOJ? I don't see that happening yet or has happened yet, but it looks like the latter part of this year into next year, it looks like there's some target letters coming out. So I don't see the target letters issued right now. 7. Some years ago, I happened to be in the backyard late at night. I looked up to see a huge rectangular object that seemed to be floating above the trees. It was about as long as a football field, and the bottom was covered with hundreds of lights. It moved slowly and silently. At the same time, I thought it was some sort of a blimp. However, I have never seen another such object at any time anywhere in the world. What did I see? This was an AT mothership, and moving around in an area. There's probably a military base in your area, but normally they only come closer to Earth when they're coming around a military base. So this is when you describe them moving silently using anti-gravity propulsion. In this case, is what was going on here. This is a mothership that carries a lot of individuals back and forth between other planets, other galaxies. But I'm almost certain that there was a military installation somewhat near you. This person has said it was in their backyard late at night. Not sure where this was in the country. Okay. 6, will any laws be enacted that enforce penalties against networks that broadcast lies and disinformation? Yes, by in 2025, I do see new legislation coming up out of Congress that will enforce the accuracy of information and actually putting legal judgments against companies that knowingly put lies out. Now, this is all going to be in conjunction with other artificial intelligence-based legislation. They'll be aimed at controlling and recognizing what are called deep fakes. So the ability to be able to take someone's picture, for example, or someone's video, and create an entirely fake video, like making somebody say something they didn't. It looks exactly like them. So all this is tied up around the year 2025. I do see legislation covering penalties for fake news, as well as the same kind of legislation covering the area of deep fakes. And my team has always said they're going to use artificial intelligence to police artificial intelligence. So sophisticated tools that are AI based to also uncover, which, for example, AI created or generative content created by AI is fake. 5. Hi, Sterling and team. Love and appreciate you in the show. My friend's son came to her bedside and said something to her right before he passed. She was sleepy, groggy, and couldn't remember that what he said. It tortures her, and she would love to know what it was and if he was alive when he said it or already passed. My team saying this was her son saying he loved her. Simple message, and he already passed. So this is actually his spirit coming to her bedside. So no reason to take this as to be traumatized by this event. This is a loving message from your son, part of his life path, that exit, but really coming to you to say he loved you, Mom. The simple message was, Mom, I love you. 4. Sterling and team, my daughter suffers from celiac disease. I'm wondering whether your guides can give us a time frame for when CRISPR or other technologies will cure this condition. Yeah, there's already a European company, it might be a Dutch company that already used CRISPR technology to change, let's say, the gluten component in food. They've already started down this road to figure out how to nullify or remove gluten from certain types of food. And then, so that allows people with celiac disease to eat certain foods. And then that research is going to springboard and then to how you can help the body be cured from celiac disease. So over the next few years here, 5 years, looks like the breakthroughs in celiac disease with CRISPR are coming out of Europe, and it might be some Dutch companies here. So you're welcome to Google that, but that's what my team's saying. 3, Sterling and team. Many stories are told about cats that climb up and stay on a person's bed, indicating that person is going to pass. What do cats see or experience that lets them know this person is ready to transition? All animals see the other side very easily. So they see birth angels coming in very, very close to escort that person. So all animals can see the other side. Cats are very sensitive, and they actually see, birth angels coming in to collect, guide, escort that person to the other side. Absolutely. Number 2 and number 1, I always take notes before I start the show. So number 2, do you see anything coming up this week? New federal discussions and reviews around expediting the Supreme Court immunity ruling to fast track it faster than April 22nd. So I see some meaningful federal discussions coming up to be able to fast track that immunity discussion or whatever's going on here that right now is targeted for April 22nd. It looks like a very effective push. Also, new ceasefire discussions occurring this week, and it looks like leading to some agreements in the Middle East that may, in fact, lead to a ceasefire in Gaza, like starting next week. So it looks like some rapid progress being made here around ceasefire discussions. Also see new charges for additional members of Congress involved in insurrection. So there's some new charges coming out here, new individuals identified in Congress and around the White House that were involved in the insurrection. So you're going to see that in the news. I also see, looks like, the next continuing resolution or CR being passed to kind of move the budget along, the U.S. budget. So I don't see that the budget being stopped. It looks like being approved, another continuing resolution. I know when I read on this a few months ago, when all this started with all the budget approvals, my team said at that time, a few months ago, I have to look up the show, that they'd be kicking the can down the road with CRs or continuing resolutions for a long time to come here. And I think, we see multiple cycles here. It looks like another CR coming you're going to hear about this week. And I also see, and this has been in the news, but a little more to go on this, the stalling of the Truth Social sale by 45. But looks like not just some of the original founders of Truth Social, but also some investors, interestingly, are going to try to stop the sale. Now, it looks like money is coming to 45 eventually through the sale of Truth Social, but looks like a lot of stalling and investors are going to try to stop that sale. You're going to see more of that coming up in the news this week. And number 1 in the countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? Remember why you are here on the planet, to make a difference. Make peace with the ways you are making a difference every day, and do not struggle. You're making progress. Have patience in all things. And on that note, that concludes the show that we're recording today for Sunday, March 3rd, 2024. As always, for those who need to reach me, go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. I think there's dates available now, some in June, July, and some in August right now of this year. The online calendar is always kept up to date. And on that note, I'm going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. I will see you all again very soon.